Good evening, everyone. My name is Jackie Hastings, and I'm really excited that you're joining us tonight for our book study. And I thought that these chapters were, golly, it's so funny. It's such a great time. We're reading Exactly What to Say, and we're going through chapters 13 through 16. And this book is so easy and quick to read, but just the little snippets pack such a punch. Chapter 13, we were talking about don't worry. And man, how often in our lives is it nice when you are making a tough decision or you feel like your world's falling apart, or you don't know what in the heck you're doing, for somebody to say, it's okay, don't worry, we got this. And those words can be so reassuring, even if you have no idea who in the world it is or what or anything, it can still be reassuring. The minute someone doesn't quite know what to say or doesn't know what to do or is indecisive, if we hold strong and are that strong point for them, we're going to offer some comfort to them. We're going to keep them from that spiral of indecisiveness and indecision and help them make a good decision. So in our business, we find this so often. I mean, how many times do we have somebody that are hemming and hawing? I don't know if I should do this. I'm not sure. Is this too much money? All those things. And we say, you know what? Don't worry. It's okay. Um, we'll help you through this. If they're like, I don't know if I can do this or not, you know what? Don't worry. I felt that way when I started to, and 6.5 years later, I'm still alive. Or, oh man, I'm not sure if I can spend the money right now. Don't worry. You got a credit card. You're not going to have to pay it off till next month. You're going to be fine. We've got this. You've got all these different ways that you can reassure someone. Start with the don't worry. Using the feel, felt, found thing, that's really helpful. Is, you know what, I felt that way too. This is what we did, and this is where we're at now. So making sure that you're validating how they're feeling and also letting them know it's going to be okay. We haven't killed anybody with this yet, I promise you. Chapter 14, the term most people. So indecision is the biggest thing that stands in the way of progress. And these words can really help people out of procrastination in a flash. And indecision is one of the worst things that I struggle with. I don't want to make the wrong decision. And then I don't do anything. I find 85 other things to do instead of doing what I need to do. Like when I'm trying to pack and have to go somewhere, I can tell you that's when my closet's going to get cleaned, because I don't know what to pack, and it's a lot easier for me to clean my closet and do that instead of having to make a real decision on what I'm really supposed to be doing. When people are signing up for this business and these products, that's super common too. So using similar words like, you know what, um, most people have felt the way that you felt, and they weren't sure what to do either, but this is what they did, and this is where they're at. And this is one of those ways that we can use those sharing someone's stories to let people know that they're not alone. And people don't always want to think that they're just a sole individual on an island. They want to know that they're part of a group. You want to know that you're like most people. So if you're like, you know what, most people like to start off this way, and you give them an example, then they feel like they're part of that. They want to belong. They want to do that. And you're relatable. So that's a really great way to work with people. Excuse me. Chapter 15, the good news. The good news is good in a lot of different ways, right? We're turning around that negative energy and we're putting on a label there that becomes almost impossible for the other person to get rid of. So if you've ever been in school, which we all have, right? And you had a kid in class who was the stinky kid, that kid, if you saw that kid now, he's still going to be the stinky kid, right? You're going to see Henry and you're going to be like, oh yeah, that's a stinky kid from 7th grade, whatever. He's always going to be that way. Same thing with a positive label of, you know what, this is a really good thing. If you turn it around, you already know how you felt when you were doing what you're doing now. Why don't we change it around and do something good at this point? You already know where you're at now. What's the harm in trying something new? So we're putting on a positive label on something going forward instead of where they're at now. So that helps them from sitting in that self-sabotaging world of pity. I mean, because they'd be like, you know what, I've tried every other weight loss thing in the world and I've never lost the weight. Or, you know what, I've never, ever slept good. Well, you know what? You've tried all of those things. You know how you're feeling now. Why don't we try something that has a possibility to make you feel good? So giving them an option. Or they'll have an excuse. I can't do this right now because it's the holidays. I can't do this right now because I'm going on a trip. I can't do this now because I don't have the money. Well, that's great. You found out how you were doing there. Let's try something new. We've got ways that we can work with these things. So, saying, okay, I see where you're at now. How are we moving forward? And give them that direction to move forward, which takes us to chapter 16, what happens next. So we've created this great opportunity. We've talked them all the things. We've got all the things. They're shaking their head. They're nodding. They're ready to go. And then we all freeze. How many people have done that, right? And then you're like, now what? They're not responding back. You're not responding back. You're like, crud, what did I do? So, last month when we had all of those great deals going on, and we had all these people there looking at our stuff and all of the training that we did this weekend with the Eric Worre stuff, and we sent out, those 100 messages in that hour, and you've got all these new conversations that you're starting with people, and you're wondering, where do I go from here? So we have to lead people to the decision. So often we fail to close that deal or finish our job. So an example of what you could say is, well, what happens next is we hop on the phone and walk through it together to get you set up to receive everything in the quickest way possible. Are you available now, or would later today be better for you? So when we're asking someone those questions, we're not giving them the opportunity to say no. We're giving them two different options that they can say yes to. Are you available now? Or is later this afternoon better for you? So giving them those options, and those options that you're giving them are going to lead them to that next decision. So if you end with that simple question, you're moving them forward. You want that question to be easy. So if you say, do you have any questions? They're not going to say anything because they don't know what questions they have. This is all new to them. So again, asking them for a question that is going to lead to action is super huge. So those are some of the takeaways that I took out of those quick chapters, and these chapters are quick. So what I would like now is we're going to go back and see if anybody would like to give an example for any of these titles. So I'm going to quiet myself now and see if anybody has any examples that they've found using any of these different options.
Okay, I will go. So I was thinking about these this week and kind of how I would word some of them to people. And one of them I did actually use just this week. But so for the don't worry, if somebody was kind of like, I don't really know what to do. I don't, I've tried things in the past, blah, blah, blah. I just said, don't worry. You'll have, the support of me and my team with access to special Facebook groups that are full of info, motivating people. Um, so that type of thing, just to try to provide them that positive mindset going forward. The thing with the most people, I said, I kind of use this more of a decision on what to pick for their products. And I just said it, if you're unsure where to start, most people start with the triplex to work on healing their gut, which will in turn help start to release the weight and everything. And then the other one I've used is the good news one. I had a girl, she said that I've probably been talking to her since May this year. And she just kind of has told me no a couple different times. And I finally just came out and kind of asked her, I know I said, I know plexus isn't for you. You've told me that. Can I ask you why? What makes you say that? And she just said, I've tried everything. I've spent so much money on things and then I never end up doing it. And I'm like, okay, that's great because the good news is well, you now know what doesn't work for you. Um, but what if I told you this is different in the way that it heals your body overall so that you can have better sleep, more energy, um, it's just going to help you feel good all around. So you're not just focused on losing weight, but you'll start noticing small changes and you'll feel better. And so you'll want to keep going. So that was kind of how I've used some of these.
Man, you're amazing at that. Those are fantastic, fantastic things. Even if you want to, typing some of those up would be fantastic. And doing a post in our team page, because we have people who are new at this stuff and they have no idea what in the world to do and they can get stuck. So typing out some of those verbiages of some of the things that you found, I think could be really helpful to people, because not all of us have the same gift of words and things, and just hearing it in different ways would be really helpful for a lot of people. So thank you for sharing those. Has anybody found any of their verbiage change up based upon reading on any of these, or has anybody gone back to any of their chats and gone back and asked questions differently, or started any conversations with any people differently based on some of these verbiages?
Yes. And I have another possible one that I've actually been trying to figure out tonight. So I have an objection from someone. We had an event Rochelle was running tonight, and this person is brand new. So I told them, who do you know that you could invite to this event? I shared with them the referral bonuses, all of that fun stuff that they could earn. And they said, I don't think I know anyone. That one, that they don't know enough people. So what I've been thinking about tonight, just the last little bit of time, is most people know something with that. Like, most people know more people than they think, or most people actually have some sort of health issue that they're dealing with, either quietly behind closed doors that they're not sharing openly, putting it into that perspective and helping someone like maybe not jump to conclusions that they don't know anyone with health issues, because most people are dealing with something that they're not sharing with everyone.
I
Right?
think I think going from that angle and saying, ooh, I'm echoing. Sorry. Most people aren't talking about the fact that they don't feel good all the time, or most people don't talk about every time they eat, they feel like they have to run to the bathroom, or their bowels aren't doing good things, or how many medications they're on that are chasing one issue after another. Do you think it would be possible to help someone just by offering, some of these different product opportunities for people, or just talking about different things people are suffering in silence about?
Yeah. Thanks, Jackie.
This may be echoey, Jackie. I don't know why it was doing this to me too on Ruby call, but when I talked, but I would maybe even focus less on finding people that have health issues. Like, I would just say, hey, name 3 people that you'd like to share the information with. Or most people are just looking to improve their overall health with a methylated vitamin or a clean protein shake, or just, they understand the importance of gut health. Because sometimes I feel like we focus a little bit on their struggles, and people are like, well, I don't struggle with anything health, even though we know they could benefit from more energy or better sleep or improved gut health or whatever. But everyone is looking for, natural ways and a better way to improve their health. So you could say something like, most people are looking, for natural ways to, feel their best. Let's name 3 people or 5 people or however many, that you'd like to invite to share the information with.
And the other thing too is not even looking at health issues, looking at finances. Well, the good news is right now you're hearing lots of people talking about how they don't have money because everything's so much more expensive. Wouldn't it be great to offer these people an opportunity to get out of some of those holes? Because I don't know about you, but at school, everybody's talking about how everything's so much more expensive. My goodness, So wouldn't it be nice to offer people an opportunity to have some extra money in a positive way?
When I think too, if we're focusing on reaching out about the business, I mean, and the products, but talking about the business, it's like, well, let's find the people you know that could use an extra $300 to $500 a month too. You know, so not always like, oh, I need it for the product. And a lot of people don't even realize how much better they feel until they feel better. Who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody and it was like, I didn't realize I had X, Y, and Z issues until I didn't have them anymore because we've had it for so long. So when we can talk about the products and the opportunity simultaneously, and, you know, I made that mistake at the end of November where I was really pushing to get joins with the reset because it's such a great deal, free reset, free, you know, such a good deal, that then they were like, well, it's still too expensive. I can't spend the money. Something came up. And I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry I screwed up. You know, I basically said, I'm really sorry I didn't mention this sooner. It is something that I do like to talk with people about, but there is an opportunity associated with these products as well. And I showed them like the girl math graphic, like, do any of these numbers stand out to you? Kind of thing. So I think when we can talk about them together a little bit more and marry those ideas, then it's not so weird to say, well, find some people, you know, because we all could use an extra $300 to $500, you know, like, hello, just for blueberries. I know I always talk about the blueberries, but I think it's ridiculous. So.
Who has a great example of the what happens next? So when you've been talking to people about products and you've been doing all these things, what's a great example of something that you've been using to help with that what happens next step? Perfect. Nobody's got an example of a great example. So somebody give me an example of what you're using now, and let's work on trying to make it better.
Can I go? Okay. So I didn't share because I haven't gotten any joins from this yet, but I've been using like to just kind of move the conversation to a close to get them to actually jump in and join is okay. What literally kind of what you had given an example as what happens next is we hop on the phone and I'll help you sign up. It only takes about 5 minutes and we can talk about everything that comes with your you know, I probably said more something like help you pick okay. Well, what happens next is we hop on the phone and I'll help you get signed up. It's really quick and easy, and I'll make sure that you pick the correct products that you need, and then I'll give you like all the information that comes with your order, something like that.
So with that, how do you end and where does that conversation go from there?
Then I ask them a question about when they can actually get on the phone with me. So then I'll say something like, are you available to talk right now? But as you can see, the answer has been no, because I haven't got any new joins using that yet.
And that's okay. You're spreading a lot of seeds and you're doing a lot of the same things that a lot of us have been or are, or all of that. So I appreciate your vulnerability and openness and helping all of us on this call to come up with better solutions. So now we know where we're getting stuck and that's not working. So we have some ideas on what's working. See how we use that? We can use that. We're labeling it and we're turning it around. So now instead of instead of just, are you available right now? Cricket, cricket, cricket. You could say, are you available right now? Or is an appointment tomorrow afternoon better for you?
Okay.
Well, usually he says to say, when is a good time? When is a good time? So you're saying there's going to be a good time. You're going to get on the phone with me. You're maintaining a strong and solid posture. Like, when is a good time? And he, when in person, said, which the chapters I've read have jumbled together. So I'm sorry if it's not specific to this week's, but you can say like, is 8:10 tomorrow night better, or 3:20 on Thursday, like giving weird times that aren't a clock, but and not on even the quarter, but on like weird times. And also I do like to say, like, like you said, this is really good that you say that, like, it takes 5 minutes, because you all know when you have to call the insurance company and it's going to be an hour, you don't make that call. You're putting it off until you have the time to have an hour. But if you know that you can call the hair salon and it takes 3 minutes to make a hair appointment, you're calling the hair salon. So letting people know what to expect, and then honoring that. And I mean, I usually say 10 minutes, and I'll say, like, I want to answer all of your questions. I want to answer all of your questions. I want to make sure that you're set up. And I just did sign someone up last week, and I said, listen, I really, really want to catch up with you. I miss seeing you at work. I miss chatting with you. But I really want to get your order situated and make sure you're comfortable with that. Can we talk again another time and get your order set up? And then when the conversation was ending, I said, I really do want to catch up with you for real. Like, it's been nice to be on the phone with you, but this is getting your account situated. Please, like, let's get on the phone and actually chat. So anyway, those are things that have worked really well for me. Like, when is a good time? Is now a good time? I have time. It takes 10 minutes. Or, you can say, hey, I don't have time right this second, but I will in about 35 minutes. Are you free in 35 minutes? Is that going to be a good time? And I've said that to people too. Like, I will definitely get on the phone with you. I'm almost to where I'm going. I can call you as soon as I get out of the bank, whatever it is. So just letting them know. And, I think it's even more friendly, and when you're letting them in on your life, just like that Diamonds in December, where she talks about in our stories and sharing our story and sharing the vulnerability and sharing what's going on, like being a real person, like, hey, I'm a real person. And it also does share the beauty of this business, where people say, I don't have time to do anything extra. But when we can say, like, hey, I'm going to run into the bank, I'm going to call you right back. Like, we're showing that we have a life and we have a business, and we can do both things, and we can do them both well. And so letting people see that we aren't just like sitting on our phone for 10 hours a day doing Plexus.
Super good. Thank you. That's why it's really great to have these book clubs, because we can get different ideas from everybody in a little different direction and pull in all those gifts and skills and talents and personalities and find some help, because gosh, we can't do it alone. That's the beauty of this. All right. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to share with regards to these chapters? Perfect. That's totally fine. So I think
Jackie, I did. I had to look back
sorry.
and at what I had highlighted. Like, what did I look at? I thought let's see, what chapter was it? Chapter 15 under good news on page 81, where he says, great, you've just found another way that doesn't work. So when they bring up excuses or reasons, I thought, you know what, that's brilliant. I'm gonna try to work that in somewhere.
Yes, I totally agree. That's one we can use all the time. I mean, people like to say how awful they are at everything. Great. You've done great with figuring out what doesn't work. Let's try something that does. Let's work forward with this. So I love that. I'm gonna use that all the time. In fact, I'm gonna use that with my kids and my husband too, I think. So they better watch out.
And it reminds me too of like that, like, oh, you found things that didn't work. So when in the last week of this book where he talked like, okay, I see, this is how I see it sitting from here. This is how I see it. You can keep doing what you're doing. You can take a risk on starting something new, or you can whatever. And Eric Worre talked about that too over the weekend. Like he gave these like scenarios of you can stay where you're at, or you can start buying back some of your time. And I think that's really good verbiage to talk about on our stories, is like why we do this business is that we are working on buying our time back, but in increments of the time that we're going to receive. Like people really don't understand that we can work in 15-minute increments 3 or 4 times a day and move the needle. And then over time, that's going to definitely shift into huge money for 45 minutes of work, or an hour of work, or 2 hours of work in a day. It definitely, that snowball definitely does start rolling down the hill. And, you know, that's the other thing that people don't want to, that we just have to talk about more, like talk about live on our stories and in person and make it part of our conversation. Like, dude, you're going to get a bonus just for helping 3 people, like a huge bonus. That's way more pay than what you would normally get for helping 3 people. Then it does even out. You're still getting bonuses along the way. Our core rank, huge bonus again. But eventually your hours that you put in are so minimal compared to the huge paycheck that you get. So really just talking about that is really important. And it is part of that crucial conversation, I think, too, that when we have new people interested and stuff like that. So, yeah. And then if you guys missed it, so I think everybody's in that chat, but in case you're not, I'm trying to organize some 5 a.m. power hours, which sounds so crazy to say, as you guys know, that's not my strong suit. But the way I see it, if we can get together and just say, okay, we got 30 minutes right now, send out 50 messages, start 50 conversations, and then go to work. Like, think how much better your work day is going to feel when you know you've done that. And then in the evening, your IPA is that fun, exciting, like following up with people and having further conversations and talking and like, oh yeah, I can send you some information. It's the exciting part of our job where, you know, sometimes just getting the messages sent can be like, oh my gosh, you know, when we did it on the training day, I just literally went to my friends list because I wasn't planning to do IPA, right? So I didn't have all my lists in front of me at that time. And so I went to the end of the alphabet, Z, and I just started messaging. And getting conversations started is more important than having all of the exact words to say, because you're just starting the conversation. Then you get to apply this stuff in the Eric Worre stuff, which Eric Worre sounded a lot like Phil Jones in his verbiage. So that's what you're going to continue to follow up with, but getting, and, you know, conversations are just conversations. It's waiting and, looking for that pivot to be able to talk about our products and opportunity. And when you're talking to people in Messenger, Facebook shows them your stuff. So they're going to drip and see that too.
Well, and I think it ties in Phil Jones with Eric Worre, with John Maxwell, with Dave Ramsey. Live like no one else does right now, so you can live like no one else later. So if we can suck it up at 5 a.m., don't plan on my camera being on. I'm going to tell you that one. You don't want to see that at 5 a.m. But you know, if we can do that small sacrifice to be that much further ahead, imagine where we're going to be this time next year. Imagine what it's going to look like to be able to help so many people out next year. You know, when you go into the store and you grab 5 angels off that angel tree, how is that going to feel? Just something to think about. So I'm really thankful for you all. Anybody have any final additions? Awesome. Great call tonight, guys. And we will see you this time next week. Have a great week.
Oh, wait, are you guys still there? You
Wait.
do not have to do a 5 a.m.